What's up, guys? What's up, guys? It's Matt with East Wind Fishing. Today we're doing our first podcast. I got Sean Gurney, one of my good fishing buddies from up the street, coming down to do the podcast with me. Keep in mind, it's our first one. We're still learning. The whole goal of this thing is to just meet new people, new anglers, and kind of get some new viewpoints on fishing and learn some things. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. It helps me do other things with YouTube. YouTube requires a certain amount of subscribers for us to be able to make things easier for you guys to view. If you guys have anybody that you suggest come on the podcast, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching. All right, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
We are live on episode number 1.
Cool. I dig it.
So, hey guys, this is Matt the Gator. I'm here with Shaw the Cheeseburger Gurney. This is the East Wind Podcast, episode 1. I got my fishing buddy from up the street, Sean. We met in kind of a weird way. Do you remember how we met?
Yeah, I was working for the town.
Well, I met you at the market first.
Yeah, it's true.
And then you were painting a fence what's that dude's name? I'm pretty sure Sean was wearing jean suspenders.
I definitely was not wearing suspenders.
No. What was happening? So it was May. So we live up north, Cecil County, and I'm driving around the neighborhood with a bucket of fish in the back. Well, I had 2 fish because that was the limit, and I'm like, "Hey man, I caught a fish over here. Look at me!" And I drove by and I saw you there because I'd seen you at the market, and I'm like, "Hey man, you want to go fishing?" You're like, "Well, yeah, but I got to finish painting this fence first."
I'm working, man.
Yeah. If you guys notice these mugs, I got them at the 5 and Dime today. The antique store down the street.
That's really what it's called.
Yeah. So this is the first podcast, and we're just trying to lay the baseline for everything. So, really what I want this whole thing to be, and I've explained this to you. You were probably one of the first guys I explained this concept to. What I want is just to meet guys. You've seen with all these fishermen out here, it's you need networks.
Oh yeah.
And I think the best way to get these networks is to social media. I mean, Instagram. Really just meeting these guys and getting out on their boats, or guys coming on my boat, you coming on my boat, booking trips with other captains. Because just from when you and me started 3 years ago, we were slinging bait in the trophy, not knowing anything out here, and then we go out with guys like Brad and look at us now. We're completely obsessed.
Killing it.
We're not killing it, but we're trying to kill it.
Well, we're getting better.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I started the YouTube channel. Because my whole thing was dude, if we had videotaped last year fishing, imagine where we'd be at.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be rich, dude. I might have 60 followers, and you might have upwards of 150 Instagram followers.
I'm actually getting that.
I'm trying to do this to network with people. I'm having you on here first because I fish with you the most. You live up the street. We're trying to work out the bugs. But, one thing I don't want, I turn on these podcasts and these YouTube channels, and it's just these dudes picking up baits, and they're like, well, I'm going to show you how to work this jerk bait here. When it's windy out, you pick the pink one. It's like a freaking puppet show out there, dude. I don't want that. I just want a conversation. And I texted you these beer mugs today, and you're like, that should be a staple of the podcast. And I'm like, that's badass.
Yeah.
And guys like Brad can drink apple juice out of them because he doesn't drink beer. Ew, beer.
I remember when we went on the Red Drum trip last year. It's like, Brad, you want a beer? I'm not really a beer guy.
Do you guys have mimosas?
So you want a glass of milk? What do you want, man?
Cold. So where we're at right now, it's the last day of February, and we were just talking about this, and really I should have started recording as soon as Sean walked in here, but it's almost March 1st, which is what we get excited for every year because we got that really cool striper migration coming up here, which really is like the only good fishing that we get up here all year, because the rest of the year is just catfishing and white perch, which is not that exciting. You know, other than the yellow perch, which keep us busy in the wintertime. You know, you've been living here longer than I have. You know, what was it like 6 years ago in the flats? I mean, you tell me stories about when you were catching them off the pier there.
Well,
yeah,
what is cool about up here is that really any time of year, you really don't know what you're going to catch, because the conditions can change so drastically from one week to the next. I've caught, talking about the Northeast River.
Yeah.
I've caught, 30+ inch striper. I've caught, big largemouth, snakehead. I caught a bowfin. I've heard of people catching bluefish and flounder out there.
Didn't you get a ribbon fish too?
No.
Or was that? Didn't you see somebody or like read an article somebody caught a ribbon fish up here?
I know they used to catch sturgeon up here, but that's pretty long way removed.
Yeah,
but
I hear the sturgeon are coming back. I mean, I've heard that
that'd be cool.
Upwards of 10 years ago.
That'd be cool.
And they've gotten them in the what do you call them? The bait nets or live nets or whatever down south. It would be cool, but also like I don't want to pull a dinosaur on my boat too. Those things look like they'd break your leg off.
Yeah, a big enough one, but one that big is just going to be such an old fish. Yeah. They grow so slow, and they can live to be super old. But my biggest surprise out there was that bowfin, and I've never seen anyone else catch one, and I've not heard of anyone catch one since.
Yeah, well, they're kind of like a snakehead, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what I thought it was at first. I caught that probably in October, like 6 years ago. But
were you standing there with a bunch of other people? Mm-hmm. Were they flipping out?
Yeah, everyone was basically standing around like, "What the hell is that thing?"
Do you still have a picture of that?
Yeah, I think the wife, she's got some pictures and even
if you find that picture, send it to me. I'll post it here on the podcast.
Yeah, I've got some pictures in my kitchen of me, basically gutting that fish. It's pretty good.
Oh, you ate it?
Oh yeah, It was good.
Damn, that's ballsy to just go eat a random fish you don't know. Did you look it up on the
internet?
internet?
I had figured out what it was by the time I decided I was going to eat it.
What is this? It's a turnfish.
But they're not like the snakehead, and where they have all those patterns and color changes. They're basically just green.
The lateral lines.
the winter colors.
So we're standing out on the dock the other day, and this is kind of how I want this podcast to go. Like you and me at a party, basically talking to another dude about fishing. Mm-hmm. But after over a couple beers, we're standing out the dock the other day, and there's a million people out there yellow perch fishing, and me and Sean both hear this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'll tell you what about these bass. It's the lateral lines that they get in the wintertime." And Sean just starts laughing from about 20 feet away, and I was like, "What are you laughing at?" He goes, "I hate people that talk like that."
I think what I said was, I can't stand these people that talk like they're like a marine biologist or something. You're some kind of like expert in the field of fish, winter fish colors. He's like, well, it's the winter colors. They only come in this time of year. That lateral line is so defined, and they use that lateral line for. Dude, shut up! You heard that on River Monsters, man.
Oh, Jeremy Wade.
Yeah.
So I'm, today and in the last week or two, I've been thinking about what am I talking about on this podcast, and I was thinking about having you on here, and I'm like, thinking good, cool fish stories. So tell me the snakehead story, dude. And I'm going to interject because cool. it's kind of hilarious. Start with where you got the bait from. What got you down there in that spot?
Okay. I got the bait from you, which you got from Brad. It was the Blackwater popper frog.
He bought out like some kind of warehouse or something like full of. I don't know. And when I was doing work in his basement, he had like 10,000 of these things. I thought he had bought like 100. And
killer baits.
Yeah.
Absolutely killer.
They're all
baits.
gone now.
Oh yeah, I still have a couple. But so I've been trying to catch them since we first heard about them back when I was in like high school. and they were all over the news, and it was like this like alien invader, and people were losing their minds, and they were making horror movies about them and stuff.
He grows wheels on the side to make them super fast to move from bodies of water.
They're going to eat your dog. But
biscuit.
And I just, since I moved up here, I knew people were catching them up here, and they were getting more plentiful just because, hearing stories.
Well, let me interject. See, this is where, like, a week or two before you caught that, my fiance and her parents were walking around the neighborhood, and there was a blue heron that had pulled one out of the water, and I'm like, oh man. 2 years ago I caught like a little baby one in the cast net, and I hear like everyone like, yeah, they're in the backwater, like, you got to coerce them out of the hole, use some gypsy magic to get them out of there. And then go ahead with the story.
Yeah. Excuse me.
You can burp into the mic, it's fine. It's a beer podcast. Excuse me.
I've done a lot of reading and research about how to catch them, and found that most people are just catching them top water, especially on frogs. So that was my approach. Went and bought a whole bunch of other frog baits, but decided to stick with that blackwater bait, and kept at it every day for basically a week. And then you got a phone call from me.
That's it. I'm going to pick up from here, because this is where it's fun. I was going to say, the one thing I will commend you on is, like, if I go to one of these new spots, like, I am very, like, I'm not going to say short-sighted. I'm impatient, which pays off a lot. And a lot of great fishermen that I know, they are impatient, because, it just, there's no point sitting around. But I can just see you being bored down this spot. And once you figured out they were there, you went back more and more. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so Sean calls me, and he's like, get down here. Get down to the docks. And I'm like, dude, who fell in? Like, dude, who's dead? You're like, just get down here. Bring a bucket. I'm like, what's going in the bucket? Are you about to shit your pants or something? Like, what's the emergency? So I get in the car, like, whatever. Sean's my go-to buddy. I call him my, what did I call you? The AAA buddy. If I need something, you're there, and kind of vice versa. So, without questioning, other than, like, are you about to shit your pants, or like what's going on? I head down there, and I roll up, and Sean just got this, grin from ear to ear, and he's going, he's like, check this out, man. He's got, like, how big was that snakehead?
Probably about 25.
Yeah, so he's got a 25-inch snakehead, that he's holding up. And was there other people down there?
A couple, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple people down there like, holy moly, check this out. And I pull up, and the first thing I said, I'm like, dude, what did you do to its face? It looks like you netted it with like a steel farm boss. It looks like a weed whacker was taken to the face of this snakehead.
I don't know what I was thinking, man, because I was so grossly underprepared being down there to be fishing for a toothy fish, especially something you never caught before. But I was just, and I'm going to correct you on one thing, because when I called you, so I catch the fish, and we'll get into that. But I catch the fish, and everything settles down.
You wrestling.
My hands are shaking, and I pick up my phone. I call you, and you're like, "What's up, buddy?" And I said, I got one. You got what?
Just get down here now.
Get down here.
Shoot.
But where were we going with that?
I don't know. This is beer number 2. Oh, yeah. So after that, we filleted it up, and we ate it, and I wasn't. Did you like it?
I wasn't that impressed.
No.
But since that was my first snakehead, and I was super excited about it, and then I wound up getting 4 more of them last year, including a 30-incher, which was a giant. Yeah,
once you got that one, you were pretty dead set. Like, if the boat wasn't going out, then you were snakehead fishing.
I kept at it.
And I had the one experience down there where I think I was going down there just whatever. When I was bored, I go down for 10 minutes. Like I said, I'm impatient. And I went down there. I think all I had was like rooster tails or like cheap topwater frogs. And I saw this huge snakehead. It's probably that 30-inch you caught. And it's swimming around with its fry. And I'm down there. I'm like, dude, what am I supposed to do with this thing? Like, so, I'm casting at it. It's looking at nothing. I'm following it around the whole dock, just dropping a rooster tail on its face, trying to get it to bite, and nothing. I'm down there for an hour with my heart beating out of my chest, because I just want to get one of these things, and I still to this day have not got one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, as far as snakeheads go, like, I want one to get it under my belt, but I don't think I'll ever go like I'm a snakehead fisherman now. Like, I'm not going to go chasing them on kayaks or anything, just because, like, at first everyone was like, oh, they fight so hard, and like now the word's out.
Yeah.
They bite hard, and then they try to escape. They're not trying to fight you.
And that is the real big misconception about them that I found that I learned last year is that, they're supposed to be this crazy fighting fish, and they are in two ways. They hit the bait 1,000 miles an hour. They just hit it like a truck, and they really come out of nowhere. It's not like a bass where, you have that kind of anticipation. They just kind of come out of nowhere. But then it's like you're just towing in a big old catfish. Like they just lay down and, okay.
Yeah.
And then you get them out of the water and they lose.
And then
mind.
you take the farm boss to their face.
Yeah.
Or the Ryobi weed whacker.
Yeah.
Well, explain that. How did his face get that bad? Because I think I asked you, and you kind of evaded the question.
That's where I was going.
I'm not leading an interview here. I'm kind of like asking out of.
So like I said, I was grossly underprepared for a toothy fish, and I didn't have any kind of, tools to grab it by the jaw or anything like that. So I grabbed a pair of channel locks out of my car. And I grabbed it by the bottom jaw.
By the face.
I grabbed him by
his eyeballs.
And he started thrashing around and literally ripped his own jaw off. Like, the whole bottom jaw came right off the fish.
Yeah, I'm still imagining the weed whacker, though.
Yeah, it was not a yard
I just realized about these beer steins is when you go to drink. You're fine with your hat backwards, but I've been doing this,
Yeah. Well, I had the hat on.
Damn that 5 and dime.
The other way. The damn 5 and dime.
Yeah, so there's an antique store up here, and Sean called me last week, and he's like, or no, it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? You want to go fishing? Or I'm over here at the 5 and dime, and I'm like, what kind of idiot calls an antique store the 5 and dime? So I got this idea this morning. I need some beer glasses. We're going to drink some beer tonight. And I go over there, and it says 5 and 10, and I'm like, the 5 and dime. He's not an idiot. I'm an asshole. All right, so I want to talk about something else too, because I mean, snake. Like, we don't need a snakehead fish. Like, I think we've taken up a ton of this podcast on snakehead. So we went on a trip last year. I want to talk about the best day of fishing we've ever had, and I think for both of us, it's the same trip. Mm-hmm. But that being said, we're not talking about location, and we're not talking about the time of the year. So we went out on a charter. I'm not even going to mention the captain's name. We went out on a charter, and he knows who he is, and he gets credit otherwise. But,
yeah. So
we go out on a charter, and we're down looking for redfish, and monster striped bass that are coming in, and it's. I'm telling you, it's some of the best fishing you'll ever have, but it's some of the most frustrating because you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And our first time, we're sitting there going like, Does he know what he's doing? Like, we didn't bring any beer with us. We're just driving around, and
especially for me because you had been out on charters with him before. That was like literally the first day I had met him, and I'm on the boat, and I'm like thinking, this sucks. Is this what it's going to be like the whole time?
Yeah. But so we drive around, and every once in a while it's like, oh, they're there, they're over here, they're over there, because we're using the fish finder to find these things. We can't really see them. Mm-hmm. And I finally hooked up on one and lost my mind. It's an insane, super insane fight. I mean, I've never had anything fight like it. I was warned before I caught the fish, like, hey, dude, hold on to the rod. Tighten down the drag and buckle up Buttercup and try to get this thing in. So I get the fish in, and it's 42 inches, and I'm like, I'm the greatest fisherman ever. And everyone on the boat who's never caught a red before is like, you're the best ever. And the captain looks over and he's like, hey, no, that's a pretty cool fish. That's actually not as big as like the normal ones down here. So I caught one, and then the captain caught one that day. We were down here for what, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, I think it was 3.
Was it 2 or 3?
We were down for 3, fish for 2.
Okay, yeah. So two fishing days
all day.
So the first day was just me and the captain caught fish. Man, one thing I drink a beer during a podcast is these burps. Like I just got indigestion. I'm not going to stop. I just want to bring that up.
Did we catch anything else that first day?
I can't remember if we went to. like a nearby pylon and caught like a bluefish, or I don't remember.
Well, I remember I did snag that puffer fish.
Well, that's where I was going, dude. You're giving away the best part of the story.
Oh, okay. Here. I'm sorry.
So we get to day 2. I don't remember how day 2 started. What did Dave get one day 2?
I feel like Dave was the first one to get one day 2.
Yeah, so he got one day 2, and then I think I got one, and we just got in this massive school where it's like, dude, if you can't catch a fish here, you just put your rod away, just give up. And me and Dave are sitting there holding on our rods, dragging, screaming, and Sean's like, I got one. And he gets it in. It's a damn puffer fish.
It's a puffer fish, man.
And the way day 1 went, we thought we had one shot at these things. And so we're all sitting there going like I'm laughing my ass off because I'm an asshole. And I think, that situational stuff is funny to me. I'm like, if Sean comes down here and gets cock blocked by a puffer fish, that would be the greatest thing. But bad for you at the same time. Like, I would have felt bad for you.
That would have been awful.
Needless to say, we slammed like 13 redfish that day. It was just like this school just kept coming back, back by us and one after another. And I'll post pictures on this podcast too of all the stuff we talk about. But that one photo where me and Dave are sitting there holding our fish, and I don't know if those were the 49. What was the biggest we got? 50 and a half?
51 and a half.
51 and a half. Yeah. Me and Dave got these big fish, and you're sitting up on the front, and I was smiling ear to ear because I can just hear you like like laughing because it's awesome, man. Just
oh, yeah.
It's something we've never seen before. The most exciting thing up till then was like a snakehead or like a big yellow perch or a 26-inch rockfish that we jigged up.
Yep.
But it just goes to show you that meeting the right people, the right captains, networking. This last year. Kind of the first year you and me were fishing together, it was just kind of you and me, versus the world. We didn't really talk to anybody. We didn't network with anybody. And then we started, I started talking to people on Instagram, on Facebook, kind of introduced you to all these guys, our close buddies like Dave and Brad and who not. And it just kind of opened up the world of fishing last year. I mean, 2020 sucked in all aspects of life. Except for fishing. That was an incredible year of fishing.
It really was, man.
And I mean, dude, what are we going to do this year? I got the new Maycraft this year. Like,
we're going to do better. Hopefully.
Yeah, we can go wherever we want now.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah.
But, red drum, best fighting fish I've ever had on the hook, man. It's just insane. They get that hook, and they just take off, and you can't stop them.
No.
You can't stop them.
Yeah,
and that was the best piece of advice we got from the captain was you cannot control the fish. You just got to let them go where they're going, and you got to follow them. And it's so much fun because they're just tearing line off your reel. The drag's going crazy, and they're running and running and running, and you're thinking to yourself, is it gonna stop or is the line just gonna? Is the line all the line just gonna tear off the reel, and I'm gonna be real sad?
Is all this work for nothing?
Yeah. And then you spend all that time, that work and energy bringing them back to you, and then they do it again.
Yeah.
And but when you get that fish in the boat, and you're sitting there holding this giant fish, and it's just this beautiful fish, and it's a really
you got the same look on your face
man.
now you did in some of those photos.
I
said, I'll post those photos. But you're just like, I'm the greatest fisherman alive.
Oh, it was best day of fishing I've ever had in my entire life.
Like other things that day, like you said, like we were getting tips from the captain all day, and when I had that first fish on, because I was losing my mind, dude, I was sweating. It was a 42-inch fish, which is a formidable red drum, but at the same time, he was absolutely correct. Like, there are much bigger fish in the sea there.
Oh yeah.
But at the time, I'm going like, holy crap, like dude, I caught the biggest fish ever. Like, I'm the best fisherman ever. Which I'm not. I actually don't think that, but at the time, at the time, you're like, yeah.
Well, I mean, after you caught that fish, you're like giving everyone advice about it. I even said, he catches one redfish and he's the damn redfish guru. And you were the guru for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was reeling in that fish, and like, I couldn't think. That's how obsessed and excited I get with fishing.
Oh yeah.
I'm running around the boat, and the captain's going like, "Don't get it caught on the trolling motor. Don't get it caught on the trolling motor." And I'm going like, "I don't know what I'm doing right now.
I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm trying." And then like you get so excited when these schools come by because like they're there and they're gone. So we were seeing them on the fish finder, and the captain's yelling at me. He's like, or all of us. Actually, no. This is another funny story. When you and Dave were on those fish, the captain looks at me and he's like, "They're right there. They are 100 feet from the boat. Cast anywhere." So I'm freaking out. I like, my eyes get all big and I'm like, "Whoa!" And then I like I open the bail and cast this laser shot about 20 feet from the boat, and he goes, "That is the worst effing cast I have ever seen, you effing guru."
That was hilarious, man.
Yeah, which nothing's more belittling than that. When you're in a school, a feasting, and you can't even make a cast.
Massive school of Reds.
To hit the broadside of a barn. But I got the name Guru from that cast.
Yeah,
so
I think it's going to stick too. I have a feeling about it.
Did you get cobia last year?
No, I didn't get on any of those trips, man.
Shoo. Well,
we're doing that this year.
That's what the Maycrafts for, man.
Heck yeah!
Shout out to Maycrafts.
Yeah, that's one fish I've never
unofficial sponsor of the East Wind podcast.
Right.
Maybe, hopefully, one day, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So no, I went out. I used to have an old walk around trophy, which is I'm not going to talk bad about that boat because it got us to a lot of spots, but it was an old two-stroke. It was super loud. It was smoky. It caught fire on me once. You knew about that, right? When I took Jess out and the rectifier started burning. Thank God I'm an electrician and was able to just cut some wires real quick. But rest in peace to that boat or whoever has it now. I think it's a dude drove down 4 hours from New York to get that boat. Which it made it up there, but good for him. But no, I went out and I met a cool dude named Paul who sold me this Maycraft, 23-foot Maycraft, and I'm super stoked about it. I mean, we've taken it out yellow perch fishing a couple times, but man, that's the endless possibilities on that thing. It's a small little boat. We're gonna have to watch the wind and all that stuff this year because it's not that big of a boat, but
It's perfect.
I like it 'cause it's easy to tow around.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of these huge boats. It's hard to get in and out. It's good on gas. I think you and me went crabbing last year and burned like $180 of fuel on the two-stroke. I took the Maycraft out when I first bought it, drove around 50 miles and like used like 11 gallons of gas.
Oh yeah.
I may be off by a gallon or two. I don't know. So if you're doing the math, don't call me an idiot. So what do you think? What's the plans this year, man?
Man, I'm stoked for spring chasing striper.
It's March 1st tomorrow, dude.
I'm excited
March
about
1st
chasing
tomorrow.
striper around on that boat. I'm excited about it.
Striper, speckled trout.
Yeah, we're doing specs in April, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
We do specs in April. And then hopefully some cobia in June, July. July kind of sucks for all these fish because it puts kind of wear and tear on them.
Mm-hmm.
With the stripers. I don't want to fish for stripers in the middle of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of want to talk about the conservation part of this whole thing in a little bit without getting too long-winded about it because it's kind of political. But that's one other thing I don't want this podcast to turn into is fishing politics. Because one thing I've noticed, dude, and I'm told this, in my small circle of fishing guys, I see it, you have an opinion on something and guys just write you off like, look, man, if you have a different opinion on catch and release or keeping fish, like let's talk about the math, let's talk about the science. If you can sway my opinion, I don't hate you for thinking differently, but at the same time, like, from my opinion, my real life experiences, indigestion, my real life experiences is we're not killing fish on catch and release, man. If you do it right, you're crushing your barbs. You're using the right size baits. We're not killing fish.
Mm-mm.
You get that one in every 100 that just gets hooked in the gills, and you safely get it out. Use that little trick where you pull it through the gills, and it still gets away.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing's still got a 50-50 shot at living. And in my mind, you have 100% chance of dying if you throw that fish in a cooler.
Right.
Not you personally. You won't die unless the thing's got parasites or something. What is that? What's that disease those fish get? There's stripers that get those like the red balls on them.
Yeah, it's like in their scales, in their skin.
It's in their tummies.
I have no idea what they call it. I know what you're talking
it's
about.
It's like microbactosis, or I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
It's a bacterial thing.
Yeah. I'm just.
I asked the DNR guy about it one time. He told me all about it. I wouldn't listen to him.
I think you can eat them with it, but
yeah,
I think I don't know if I would.
I don't like keeping fish that look like that.
Zombies.
You started getting into it though. Like personally, I don't keep many fish.
Do you want a beer?
Depending on the species. Yeah, I'll take one. Striper.
I'm just gonna say this right now. Let's not keep any striper in 2021.
I don't plan on it. Before last year, I maybe kept 2 fish a year.
I think I kept 2 last year,
right.
and I regretted it.
I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel right.
I don't think you kept. I don't think you kept one last year.
I didn't. No,
I think I caught a couple. Man. Yeah, I think I like showed you one. I'm like, this is a nice keeping fish, and you were like, I don't want it. Like,
well, when you hear stuff about the numbers being low, the spawns being low, yep. I see that, and I think I don't want to be part of the problem.
Yeah, well, and that's what everyone's ignoring is like last year's spawn was like. Every year, like, we wait for the numbers to come out, and we're like, oh, cross your fingers, hopefully they're good, because just, we're all trying, and it's just, it seems like the efforts on the other side aren't there.
Yeah.
But the spawn numbers were crap last year.
Mm.
And I listened to some of those, the public forums that come out, and it's like, guys like us are sitting there arguing, and then you got guys from the other side, which, whatever, I don't want to get into all the politics of it, because I don't want people to hate us, I want people to enjoy this, but, one number I saw with what they wrote down was catch and release is killing 9%. Impossible.
It's called catch and release.
Yeah, impossible. Unless it's. See, I can see this in July.
Yeah.
If it may, and maybe in July it's 25% because guys are going out there with chunk bait and these things are getting hooked in the back of their gills because they're swallowing it whole because this little 19-inch fish biting a little bit of bunker and those things by the time they're in they're almost dead because the water's so hot the dissolved oxygen levels are so low that these things are tired before they're even caught, before they're even hooked. But
and I've caught them like that out there on the flats and the Northeast River and all that, and we're using live bait or cut bait, and those little schoolie sized stripers, which is mostly what you get, they hit so fast, and they don't typically come back a second time. But if you get them on the hook, they hit so fast, it's so easy for them to get that hook in their throat deep.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to get out after that.
But not only that, you can tell that when they bite that late in the summer, they're not putting up fights. Mm-mm. Why would you want to catch? That's like hooking into a log. Like you're not getting a fight. You get that initial bite. And then they're almost dead. So I don't know. Between you and me, because we fish so much, like I said, you met the goal last year. My goal this year, I'm not going to keep any stripers.
I don't want to.
No, there's too many other abundant fish out there like yellow perch. Like, we'll keep yellow perch because I think they taste better. Number one, regardless, and number two, there's plenty of them according to studies. I mean, we're going out and smashing them now, but.
Perch are good eating fish, man. It's not a lot of yield. You don't get a whole lot of meat out of it, but what you do get does taste good. And that's the same thing like we've talked about with perch. The legal size, I think, is 9 inches. I do not ever feel comfortable keeping a fish that small. I don't even like keeping 10s. I don't like keeping anything under 11 inches.
No, like we got that fillet video, and it's like, you see how much meat you get out of a 9-inch fish. It's not much at all. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's not even worth it for that. But I don't know. I guess they're trying to keep people happy, keep families happy.
And like
you said, you're not because you hate families.
I do, except mine.
No family should have fun except for mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you need a bottle opener?
Yeah, something.
Shoot, just poked myself in the eye. So, I guess a couple other things I wanted to talk about was just kind of our plans for this year. One thing that I I absolutely love about Chesapeake Bay, and it is. I'm always learning about these new fish in here. Like, one fish I didn't catch this year, which I want to chase next year, is these pickerel that these guys are going after in the Potomac and the Magathie, I think it is.
Yep. But, Potomac is apparently the big popping spot.
The pop spot.
Yeah. Not just for pickerel though, and I've heard muskie too, which is a particular fish.
Muskie?
Muskie.
In the Potomac?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think. Don't get me. I mean, if anybody watches this and I get it wrong, please don't feel. Please,
he's
feel
probably
free
wrong.
To correct me.
I mean, he's usually wrong.
He's
a marine biologist, by the way.
Yeah. You want to see my degree? It was a 30-something inch tiger muskie caught in the Potomac this year.
30-inch.
30-something.
Let me take your bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought muskie were like only out west.
No, they are. We have them on the East Coast and in Maryland, apparently. I've never caught one. I've caught pickerel. I've caught a pike, too, once, I think. But
I don't even know if I've caught a pike or a pickerel. I don't think I've caught a pickerel before. I think...
I got a quick, good pickerel story when I was a kid. And my grandfather used to take me fishing what felt like constantly. We had a spot, and I wish I knew where it was. Somewhere out on the eastern shore in like the eastern kind of area, and we would go there in April, and it was like a creek that ran under one of the main roads out there, and so you're standing there right off the side of the road, and there's this big, inlet pipe running under the road, and we would stand there on the creek bank and just smash huge pickerel.
Where's
almost
this
every cast on the eastern shore.
When?
When I was a little kid.
And why didn't you tell this to me
when
recently?
I was real young.
Like, we've been friends for 3 years, and when you got...
I'm pretty sure I have told you this.
You got a pickerel spot? Was I drinking?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
We're drinking right now. But that was a super cool spot, and it's something I'll always remember. I need to try to figure out if I can find it. That was like my biggest regret is I didn't.
So it's with your grandfather, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
He's no longer with us.
No, I did. I was always regretted not picking his brain more.
Pickerel on the eastern shore.
Pickerel on the eastern shore is a heck of a spot too.
Pied pipers.
Yes, pickled Pied Pipers fish.
Yeah, I mean that just. I believe you. It just doesn't like that's
Fun
crazy
fish
to me.
To catch, man, and they are a super hyper aggressive fish. Like they hit hard, they fight hard. You get them out of the water.
They're toothy, aren't they?
Oh heck, yeah. It's a pike, but not as big.
Yeah, but
all the same attributes, and I've caught them in Loch Raven Reservoir too.
Yeah, I've seen you catch world record chain stickerel.
I caught one the other day.
Man, that's one of the funniest memes I've ever seen in my life. A dude has a stick mounted on the wall, and it says like state record chain stickerel. I'm like, I can't. I don't think my dad's gonna watch it because he's not a YouTube guy, but I can't wait to just pull that joke out of my back pocket next time he gets snagged on his stick.
That joke's a double whammy. It's a dad joke and a fishing joke.
Oh yeah,
it's a solid joke.
I'm not a dad, but I'm all for dad jokes. So I don't. Here's where I'm at, man. I don't want to get into like, hey man, here's my favorite paddle tail, but I kind of want to give a couple shout outs to to some of the gear we use, and we're not professionals. I think we're self-proclaimed like we don't know what we're doing, but we do manage to catch some fish, right?
Doing all right.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing bad, but I think we have a lot to learn, admittedly.
Oh yeah.
But I also think like over the last, how long have I known you?
Probably 3 years now.
3 years. I think over the last 3 years, like I think we've taken quantum leaps in fishing, and I'll that's a pretty good word, right? It's a good podcast word.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say, especially considering I think the first time I showed up on your boat, I showed up with like ugly sticks, which there's nothing wrong with ugly sticks. First of all, I'll be first to say that, but
I was like, nah.
I was outgunned.
Yeah. Well, no, I just whatever quality gear, man. I mean, now because you're like me, like you're. I don't want to say the bad word, but whatever. You're obsessed with good gear now, because you've seen what it can do.
There's a big advantage to it.
It just feels so good. It feels so good to have nice gear, and then it's you can go out and buy 10 ugly sticks. You can go out and buy that one good rod that's going to land the fish, and you have confidence in it. Like when we're out catching bull reds or cobia, once you get on a cobia this year, the gear you have now is you can trust it, man. I've been out with Brad before, and we're using those JLS rods, and some of the guys on the boat are like, "This is a big fish, man." And we're using six JLS rods. Like what are they? Medium heavies.
I think they're medium heavies.
Yeah, they're medium heavies, and like this thing is bent over, and like I can see the scared look in people's face. And Brad's like, "That rod's not going to break, dude.
Not even close.
It's not going anywhere." He goes, "If that rod breaks, you're gonna get free rods from here till you die." But which is not true. I'm not saying that JLS, but what I'm saying is, stuff like that. That's quality gear, like JLS, like the Shimano stuff we use, like those reels. Captains we fish with use those Florida reels.
Oh yeah.
Those things you can put a ton of trust in all the gear we use. And I do want to bring this up because I got a tournament coming up with a bunch of sponsors that did jump on for the Susquehanna Flats catch and release tournament. Is those jigs I showed you last month, man. I've been like eyeing these jigs up for how many months now? It's Paw Jigs. It's PAPAW Jigs, and that's the Instagram. And this dude's got like the coolest looking, best quality jigs I've seen. This is not a paid sponsor. I mean, no. I'm just all trust me, this is not a paid sponsor on podcast number 1. But I got these jigs the other day, and he shipped them to me in like 4 or 5 days, if that. Like, I was talking to the guy, super nice guy. The guy's name's John. I reached out to him, and everyone I've reached out to for this tournament has been super receptive and like, hey man, that's really great. Same thing with the podcast. Everyone I've reached out to to talk about the podcast, they're like, that's great. John's like, yeah, I'll help you out. I'll send you a striped bass package, catch and release tournament or whatever. And he sent me these bucktails, and I texted him back. I said, did you paint these yourselves? Like, it looks like. Like it just looks like they're so perfect, like machined almost.
They're sweet.
Dude, sweet. Like I think they're black nickel hooks. And he made me this cool. I don't know. He didn't even know I was in a reggae band years ago. Made me that reggae octopus, which I coined the Rostopus. But no, I wanted to give a shout out to him. I don't want to turn to one of these podcasts, which is like, hey man, check out my sweet paddle tail. But I want to give credit where credit's due. A couple of other guys I want to give a shout out to, and I'll do this every podcast, is, the JLS rods. Like, dude, I've seen so many people catch huge fish, including, we mentioned Brad Foxwell. I saw his son catch a 50.5-inch striped bass on one of those JLSs. Incredible. And these are not surf rods. No. These are not boat rods. These are light tackle rods. They're just built to withstand, tanks on the other end of the line. They're built for quality.
Well, and also when you think about the kind of weight a 50+ inch fish is packing, considering you're using these. This, make no mistake about it, this is light tackle fishing at its truest form.
Yeah.
And it's some of the most exciting fishing you can do, and that's one of the things I'm most excited about for this year. Is I got the JLS back in November.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, his wife hit me up on it. What was it, your birthday, right?
Yeah, it was my birthday.
His wife was like, hey, what do you want for your birthday? And what does Sean want for his birthday? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he needs a new rod because that Shakespeare's not holding up anymore. Like as much as he loves his Shakespeare, I think we need to get him a nice light tackle rod. So we called up Brown over JLS and I gave him all the specs, and he pumped it up pretty quick, man.
Sweet rod, and you gotta love something custom made for you, and the colors you want with your Insta tag on it and everything.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's an awesome rod. Got the Stratic on there. I'm really excited to take it out and see what it's made of. I know what the rod's made of because it's made to the specs that I caught a massive bull red on.
Yeah, no, that's I'd asked the captain when we went out with the bull reds, and I said, what was that rod that Sean was using where he was just laughing the whole time because he was having the time of his life fighting this massive fish on this tiny little rod, and he was like, I forget the specs. I want to say it's a 6.6 medium heavy, but it's. Dude, you just had all the confidence in the world in those rods,
And that's you kind of started getting into it. That's the thing with quality gear is you got the confidence in the gear that, you know, this fish isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
until that third run when you're like, I'm done.
But
the line's gonna break before the rod does.
And you mentioned it too. You get into a fish like that with good gear, and they're just running, and all you're holding that rod out, and you're just letting them go. And like you said, like me, I'm just laughing the whole time, having the time of my life. I'm a fishing cowboy at that point. But in that kind of moment, I almost get like kind of
fishing cowboy.
Yeah, yeehaw, man.
That's what came to your mind. I'm a fishing rodeo clown.
I'm a fishing rodeo cowboy. But I get this almost tunnel vision, and it's nothing else in the world is going on. It's just you and that fish, and it's just like there's nothing better. I mean, it's why we do what we do. We're constantly chasing fish. Is the fight? It's addictive.
Yeah,
there's nothing better.
Dude, how cool would it be? Like, this podcast is not for money. Like, we may get, I don't know, 30 listens on this. Who knows? You know, exactly. Who cares? I'm having this first podcast has been super fun. How cool would it be for one day? You know, we talk about this all the time. I think you and me have mentioned it 20 times. Like, what happens if you get $1 million? Like, what are you doing? Not $1 million. I would say $5 million.
Oh man,
who you calling? What you doing? Where we going?
Oh, I'm calling you. We're moving to Florida and getting the boat, man.
Yeah, that's not the plan you told me, but you said we're going to start a charter business with
some very attractive young ladies, deckhands, if you will.
Deckhands, I like that.
Go down to South Florida, get the sweetest, most stocked up fishing boat you ever saw in your life, and some attractive young female deckhands.
I think next year we do Florida.
Ah,
because I'm getting married in June, so like all my PTO's gone. Like, dude, can you imagine just fishing for a living, dude?
I can't. No, I can't. I want to.
Our wives would leave us. They probably wouldn't talk to us anymore.
No, yeah.
But who needs wives when you got, you know,
endless trophy fishing
and all the deckhands you could ever imagine?
Yeah. Florida's the mecca. I mean, it's the fishing capital of North America, if not the world.
Which is crazy because when my company, I work for a solar company, they just opened up a Florida branch. You know, they were like, "Hey, you want to go down to Florida?" And I was like, "Nah, I like Maryland." And like now, this is like whatever 3-4 years ago. Like before, I'm watching fishing videos every day. Oh, yeah. I'm going, you know. I got another funny story here to tell you in a minute, which is hilarious. But, you know, before I'm watching fishing videos every day, before I built a man cave completely built around fishing, before I'm making fishing videos, fishing podcasts, you know, hitting people on Instagram, just totally obsessed with fishing. And I was like, no, thank you. And now I'm like, damn it.
Why?
But
why didn't I go?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, dude, if I went to Florida for my company, I probably wouldn't be working for them anymore because I would have quit my job and just gone fishing, whether I was living in a tent or whatever. Like, there's no way I would have been able to focus. It's hard for me to focus up here, where the fishing is not that great anymore. Which, whatever, I'll give credit where credit's due. I love living where we live, and I love fishing where we fish, but Florida's better.
Oh, no
but I do love the
man.
Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake Bay is so close to my heart, and we're learning more and more. The more we go out, every single year, I'm like, holy moly, this fish is here this time of year. I'm like, I would have never known this. That's how important these networks are in talking to people, which is my main goal of this podcast, is to talk to some captains, get them in here, hear their story. You know, just like I'm talking to you. You know, I'm not going to say our story is interesting by any means. You know, you painting a fence in jean suspenders, and
I wasn't wearing suspenders
and a straw hat.
You got me wrong.
Yeah, but yeah, but no, I just want to meet people, man, and you know, with you living so close, it'd be great to get a couple 3 or 4 person podcasts up here drinking beer. I only got 3 of these mugs, and I love them, but I'm starting to hate them because I have to wear my hat backwards. Yeah, I'm getting off subject too because I think we're 3 IPAs or whatever the hell these beers are deep.
It's good beer.
So okay, I'll end on this story because I think it's hilarious, and I kind of want to run with this thing. So I called my buddy Rick the other day. You met Rick, right? The dude who lives over in Havre de Grace?
Yeah.
So yesterday was like super rainy and foggy, and I call him every once in a while. We share spots here and there. You know, he'll call me and say, "Hey, you get on yellow perch?" Yeah. excuse me, indigestion. Is there stripers here or there and whatever? We're sharing information, and he said he woke up and him and his wife are sitting in bed drinking coffee, and he looks over and he goes, "You think Matt's out fishing today?" And she looks at him and goes, "Honey badger don't give a shit." And I was like, dude, I'm the honey badger. I'm dumb enough to go fishing in any conditions and not catch any fish. So I'm like, dude, I should name my boat the honey badger.
I like it.
I love it. Yeah.
I think it's great.
Honey badger doesn't give a shit, dude. He'll he'll go fishing whenever. You got anything else to say, Sean?
Nah, man. I think this is super cool. This is going to be.
It's been fun, dude. I was like nervous
to see where it goes.
I was nervous when we started this because I'm like, I don't know what to talk about, and then like you just kind of forget, because I told you when the podcast started, I said don't look at the camera. I want this to be organic, which is why like I'm calling this and I'm telling everybody this. This is the 3 beer podcast. We have 1 beer before the podcast and we have 2 during. Because by that 3rd beer, and I'm not talking like natural light, I'm talking like whatever. I'll go out and buy like a nice IPA. Or if Brad comes, I'll get him like Mott's. I'm not going to get like store brand apple juice. I'll get him the nice bendy straw and everything. No, the 3 beer podcast. You drink 1 before, and by the time you get to the 3rd, you're loose. But I was nervous when we first started this podcast. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And then it's just 2 buddies sitting here talking about fishing. Kind of telling the story. And I'm really excited to talk to guys who I have known nothing about. Mm-hmm. Kind of get a list of questions together. And I don't want it to be like an interview like where like, so sir, how many fish did you catch last year, and how many gallons of gas does your boat hold? I don't want that. It's like, hey man, dude, like, what was your first recollection of fishing? Like, why are you crazy like me? Because I think I'm insane. Like, I'm starting to realize it. Like,
I think our wives think we're insane.
Yeah.
But I think if we didn't have to work, then fishing would be all we did. If we could somehow find a way to pay for it. Yeah,
well, that's the deckhands. We're back to the deckhands.
We're back to that.
Yeah, so I'm like, just like I talk to so many fishing dudes now because I'm obsessed with it, and it's just I think we're insane. I think there's a true fishing sickness and obsession. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's like, hey, I gotta send my fishing buddy the big picture or whatever. But there's more. There's so much more we can capture, dude. And all that being said, I really appreciate you walking down the street to meet me tonight to do this, because I'm sure you were like, when I reached out to you and was like, hey man, we're gonna do a podcast, and you were like, that's awesome. But I'm also sure you were like, what are we gonna talk about? Like,
I had like the Ricky Bobby, like,
yeah, what do I do with my hands?
I don't know what to do with my hands. Right?
But no, it's been good, man. We have a lot of fishing stories, and I'm sure I'll have you back on here, and I'm sure I'll have you on here with other guests because you're a good dude. And I guess we'll cheers the beer steins.
Cheers the beers.
Cheers the beers, brother. To 2021 fishing.
Yeah, I got a good feeling we're gonna have a lot more.
Thank you guys.
To talk about.
Yeah, heck yeah, brother.